Podcast, your Xbox newscast featuring Colt Eastwood, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. West Coast and 8 p.m. East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, the XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with Colt Eastwood's Xbox Newscast.
Welcome to the show. This is Colt Eastwood. This is episode 12 of the XNC, the Xbox Newscast podcast. And I've got two very special guests with me that you probably will recognize from VentureBeat and GamesBeat, journalism and gaming news. I've got Jeff Grubb here. Say hi, Jeff.
How's it going, everybody?
And I've got...
Nice to be here.
Yes. It's so good to sit down and talk gaming. I've also got... formerly of Xbox fame, Rukari Austin, who's now a senior community manager for GameStop. So he's got all kinds of crazy stories to tell. He might tell us about how he put someone in a headlock. But no, he's been doing amazing stuff. Say hi, Rukari.
No headlock. Glad to be here, though. Headlock's not needed.
Yeah, Rukari's one of the nicest guys in the business. Like, he's been talking gaming for a long time, so he's got some great opinions, and we got a lot of news to talk about. But I want to welcome everybody to the show. We're on live on YouTube on the Colt Eastwood channel, and if you're listening after the fact, that's because we post this on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a couple other platforms, so you can do that on demand in your headphones. So here we are. Welcome to the show, and it's exciting to be here. I want to give a shout out to my mods, Underachiever 83, Happy Bomb, Lethal Papa, Obi-Wan, FTW if they're here, putting the band hammer down on people who are going crazy. We will talk about crazy people, but Jeff Grubb, how are you doing today?
I'm good. It's getting hot here in Colorado. It's about 100 degrees. I don't like that so much, but I'm sitting here in my basement talking about video games, so I'm going to be okay for at least the next hour. We'll see what happens after that.
I mean, you're still in a heat wave, or did you just get a new one, or we went through it in Washington?
It's you think of Denver, you think of mountains and snow. What they don't tell you before you move here is that it's the high plains desert, and so it's like during the summer it's really just 90 degrees plus all at least through July and August. So it's pretty rough for a guy with a thick blood like me.
Went to Denver for a football game in September, and I was expecting cool fall weather, and I got slapped in the face with 95-degree heat.
It's messed up.
Upset.
It's the dry heat. It doesn't make a difference to me. I'm a big sweaty boy, so it's always wet heat for me. In September it'll still be really hot out here for sure.
And Rukari, did you have to deal with the big heat wave that was running through Seattle a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, granted, I was born and raised in Seattle, so understanding that it was coming, like I don't have AC. I've got an AC unit. Inherent difference between the two. 10-foot ceilings in my place, so the problem is all the cool air would just rise to the top anyway. I know they say heat rises, but trust me, it was impossible to deal with. I stocked up in a laughable fashion on fans. I'm looking at them scattered out here right now, and I would just have 5 on me at all time. Just didn't matter. Kind of like Jeff. I'm 6'4", 275. Like, I'm just big. Like, there's nothing I can do to not be sweaty anyway, so I would just have all the fans on me, do what I could, and we made it.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, this is the Xbox Weather Channel, as we talk about the weather for gaming. Yeah. Sometimes I look down at my Series X or my PC, which are down there, I'm like, man, are they getting enough cool air? So, yeah, it's, don't worry about, can I'll make it maybe, but we ramp up all of our gear all the time. I got a big old TV that's like a big heat oven, so... But we're all surviving. People are in the chat, or hopefully they're staying cool.
A YouTube channel did a test of what heats a room better, like a PC or like a space heater, and they're like they're exactly the same. It's just a computer costs more. So if you already have a computer, just open that side and just let it heat up your whole house. Yeah, it's messed up.
Yep. Yeah, but thankfully we haven't heard about any crazy overheating on the new consoles. But I've got. Oh, man, I have so much gear in here. You can kind of see I have audio gear over behind me. In front, I've got 3 consoles and a big TV. And now I've got a studio light over here, which is I can fry an egg on that. So, it's a great time. But, yeah. Let's see. We got Lars Hansen says, if Bobby Kotick calls Phil Spencer and says, we weren't really going to get into the Activision stuff, but it has to come up, right?
Oh, yeah.
If Bobby Kotick calls Phil Spencer and says, I have, from Blizzard for sale, what do you think Phil's answer would be? World of Warcraft and Game Pass on PC, and a console version must be appealing to Phil. Jeff, have you thought about this whole, what if they brought World of Warcraft to console scenario?
Yeah, I've never been a World of Warcraft guy. My buddy I do a podcast with, he has been, and like everybody else, he's gone to play Final Fantasy 14, which has always been a console MMO. So when I've brought this up in the past, he's like, Jeff, quit being a stupid moron. That doesn't work. World of Warcraft is for PC. Like, they haven't really even tried to make any efforts to make it playable on a controller and all this stuff. It seems it would, at this point, it would almost seem kind of desperate to bring that game to console, because it's like it is losing so many players to Final Fantasy 14. Like, you're just trying to make it give it a second life, but not that second life, but give it a second chance. I don't know if it would actually make much of a difference at this point, because Final Fantasy 14 has so much momentum right now.
Yeah, that's all they're talking about. Rukari, are you a big World of Warcraft guy? Did you lose your job over playing it?
No, outside of that South Park episode, that's all I've seen of Warcraft, and it's just not my type.
Me neither.
It doesn't mean that I couldn't have my eyes open to the world of possibilities now, especially that I focus on PC gaming as part of my core gaming experience, but it's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. We've been talking about Blizzard, and everybody's kind of going through a mess there. They've got a whole bunch of games, but they're kind of I feel like Blizzard's kind of fallen back a little bit as some of the other big publishers have taken forefront of popular gaming. Like Jeff says, Final Fantasy 14 is the new hotness for the old World of Warcraft. But I know a lot of people have sunk many hours. I have a friend who pretty much lost his chance to get a 4-year bachelor's degree because he played so much of that game. So I'll stay away from it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll start with Jeff. What have you been playing lately? What's been keeping you happy as far as video games?
Yeah, I've been playing a few things that I can't talk about. I'll be able to talk about that later this week, hopefully. I'm excited to. But not to tease everybody, I'll talk about what I have been playing, which is mostly I'm just messing around with other stuff in between these review games. I played through Metroid Fusion on one of my little handheld things I got from China. I love those things. I've been playing... honestly, I really just want to keep going back to the review games, which is the issue. It's that's all I got, so that's all I've been playing, really. But I did try a little bit of Flight Sim on Xbox, and it works well. I'm going to keep playing it on the ultra widescreen on my PC and all that stuff. But the fact that they did make it actually work on console has been really impressive.
Oh, nice. I mean, it's looking nice, too. It runs at 30, or are you getting a VRR situation where they say they kind of unlock the frame rate, or are you not talking about that yet?
No, I think we could talk about all that stuff, but I was using it on a Sony TV. I wasn't using it on the LG because I had it down here. I was testing it actually with a TV I'm going to review, and but I was not getting VRR on there, but it looked pretty smooth. I wasn't noticing a lot of frame rate jumps. It was pretty well done. I'm happy with it. I think that I've seen a lot of people streaming the Xbox version right now. They got early access, and just kind of watching them play in between sessions of me going in there. I'm like, yeah, this they totally did it. They totally succeeded in bringing this impossible game that it's not just it's really tough on your CPU and your GPU, which it absolutely is, but it's bringing in zettabytes of data from the cloud or whatever they talk about. That it's this impossible game, and they made it work on console. It's really, really cool.
Nice, very nice. Rukari, what have you been playing?
I've got nothing that cool as to say that I'd be playing things that I can't talk about yet. I hate to say it, it's Warzone. That's the only thing that my buddies are playing, and to be honest, I haven't played much of anything. The in-laws were in town for I don't want to say 10 grueling days, because it wasn't grueling. It wasn't bad. It was fun to do.
9 grueling days, and then they left.
No, but it was definitely we were out doing dinner and stuff like that. So It was just Warzone with the buddies, and that's been it. I've never played through an entire Zelda game. Breath of the Wild, I think I got to a first temple and then, set it down. I'm just, I lack focus. So I want to try Skyward Sword HD. I want to check out, what's the Halo Portal crossover? I bought it on Steam. Yeah, Splitgate. Yeah. I want to check that one out as well. So I've got things on the horizon. I'm hoping I get into flighting this weekend. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do, but we'll see what I end up playing. Because the same thing happens. Man. I'm going to play these games over here. And then I get that text who's dropping? Me.
Yeah, you guys are bringing up a lot of stuff that we're going to talk through the show, which is really nice. I played Death's Door. I've been trying to get through that. I'm having a hard time going back to it. It's brutally difficult. Jeff, you played Death's Door?
A little bit. Yeah, I started it. I was I'm putting that aside because I really want to focus on it. But like once I get this stuff that's on my plate for work out of the way, that's gonna be the first game I go to. I circle back around to. It does remind me a lot of a Zelda game. It reminds me of a Link Between Worlds more than anything else, which is really good. You want to be like, if you're going to be a modern 2D top-down Zelda game, Link Between Worlds is the one to be. But I'm like waiting to see if I'm going to be able to get over that difficulty hump. If I'm going to be able to, I understand it doesn't really have much of a map system, and if I get lost and get frustrated, I'm going to see how I respond to that. Because honestly, I'm the same way as Rukari, like with the attention span. If I fall off hard, and so I want to see how I actually respond to playing through that thing for real, and I want to give it a fair shake. So that's why I'm going to come back to it after I get done with some other stuff.
Have you looked at this Death Store game, Rukari? A lot of people are talking about it.
I saw the preview stuff before, but again, given the last week, I didn't get a chance to launch it. I basically didn't have access to my living room, just because we weren't there. No, it's not that we had anybody crashing. I just wasn't there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, when you've got family in town, do you feel like you don't want to game when they're around or in front of them? Like, they're going to think you're too immature, or do you just like, hey, if you weren't here, I'd be having fun?
No, they know what I do in life. It's not that. It's more so, actually, it's this space that's the problem. I have so much fun at my computer set up now and having all the screens and being able to multitask and look at Twitter while I'm doing stuff that, this sounds horrible. Playing back home in my living room or bedroom, there's only certain things that I want to really play there, and everything else, I wish I were here. So it's less of the people. I'm not worried about them. I can't blush. I physically cannot blush. I couldn't care less what they think. It's more of the space.
Oh, I mean, I used to really get bothered about that stuff, but now I really own it that I'm a total gaming fan. I want to say hello to Paris in the chat. We've got Jay Fonzarelli in the chat. Both those guys are talking about Death's Door. I think Fonz just beat the game. Paris beat it a little while ago. He's calling it one of the tops of the year. So this game, you're this little crow with a lightsaber, basically. It's got some of the most fantastic music. Just a music that touches your soul, but also gets you pumped and just sets the mood. And when you die, you go all the way back to the corner of the map. And like Jeff said, there's no map. So it's really challenging, but just a great game. You actually get hit 4 times in the beginning. So it's not too terrible, but it's weird. My kids have been dragging me into Grounded almost every night, playing the game Grounded by Obsidian. And I'm really loving that game more and more every time I play it. So I've been playing that, and then I'm playing a game that comes out in a few days for Xbox. Right. A partnered game, I guess I would call it. It's not published by Xbox. So, yeah, there's just a lot of really good stuff to play. We're going to talk about all of it today. So we'll get into the first topic, which is kind of light, but have you guys followed the Battlefield 2042 Portal announcement that came out into last week? Showcasing what that will do.
Absolutely.
All right, Rukari, take us off. Can you tell us what is so cool about Portal, other than just another multiplayer game?
I think back with my time with Halo, and I don't necessarily mean working at 343. I mean more so just my experience with it, right? And UGC was always a huge bit. So Jeff, you can correct me because I feel like you would know better than I. But
I'm listening for every mistake, so you just keep going. I'm going to look and stare you down.
Yeah,
so
that's
try
fine.
to get it right.
Portal to me essentially seems like a giant tool along with scripting and whatnot to allow you to craft experiences based on all the previous Battlefield games and including this one, or not, maybe not all, but a subsection of previous Battlefield games.
Seems like all of them eventually is kind of what it feels like. But right now there's 3 of them. Yeah.
Maps, game modes, I want to say factions or, countries, depending on who you fight as. And then you're able to take those and kind of craft your own Battlefield experience. Like, I remember watching the opening bit, and they kind of had this 5-man squad that had modern weapons taking on battalions of folks from an entirely different area or era. I don't know. That to me just seems cool as hell because UGC can continue on for as long as people are interested in a game. And not to say that it gives the dev team time off because they have to obviously work to keep that stuff fostered and curated. But man, it's cool to see people come up with ideas and to be able to input those in a game and have people check them out and have fun with it. But yeah, I'm pumped for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see I was in the pre-stream or whatever, the media stream on Thursday morning. I don't even remember what day it was, but they showed a breakdown of this web browser where you could click and there's like this genealogy tree of things you could change for the game. Did you get a chance to look at this, Jeff? All about how you can
Yeah, basically the ways that you're talking about the scripting tools, is that what you're referring to? Like,
yeah, it looks like, whoa, I need to go to school for this.
I mean, a little bit. You could actually, if you want to get good at this before it comes out, Game Maker Garage on the Switch right now is basically the same concept. It's visual scripting language. It's basically just taking little modules or nodons or whatever they're called and figuring out what they do. Yeah, and you just connect them on visually. It's actually how Unreal Engine has worked for a long time. So you're going to have a lot of power over how Battlefield Portal games work, and you're going to be able to change a ton of stuff. You can't change like the physical map. This isn't like a Tony Hawk, like you're making your own skating park or anything like that.
Right.
That's not what it is. But it is like everything else, and the way everything else works inside of this little like arena, you're going to be able to change. Now, if you just throw in 5 modern warfare soldiers against the 50 like World War II era soldiers, those World War II guns are going to work like the World War II guns work, and that's why that like quantity versus quality mode works. You just throw them in there together, everything's going to work, and they're going to have those slow World War II guns against modern machine guns. And like right away, I'm like, okay, I see what they're going for here. That's really, I'm like, it's sparking my imagination, and I'm not very imaginative. It's like, so people who are actually creative are going to go to town on this stuff. I think they showed one where it was horse versus like 100 ducks or whatever it was, but basically it's like one like regular sized tanks versus 100 duck sized tanks, and it's like, okay,
the engineers and their little robots that were trying to take down the tank.
And then they had like the CBR paddles, the defibrillators versus knives or whatever. It's like, this is okay, there's going to be a lot of fun. And now these are side modes for most people, or they are distractions most of the time, but I would hesitate before people like dismiss this. You got to remember the lineage of video games. One of the biggest games in the world right now still is League of Legends or Auto Chess. Both of those things came from similar tool sets, and so a game making a big deal out of
or
this
like Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike, right? Yeah, a game making a big deal out of this right away, giving like a studio like Dice LA, which is now Ripple Effect, just giving them all of the budget to make something huge right out of the gate and saying this is a big part of what we're going to do to make this game feel fresh for a long time. I'm excited, and I think there's a lot of potential for us to get a lot of cool stuff here.
Yeah, you what you're saying is like a couple of game modes could be created by users, and they could become more like they have the potential of becoming more popular than some of the mainline multiplayer modes. And it's funny because like when you say how these things evolve, like Counter-Strike came from a Half-Life mod, like back in the early 2000s or something. Yeah, it's all up to the community can make these things absolutely incredible. So there's a lot to look forward to. There was a whole controversy about there's no campaign, it's $70, and it sounds like a lot of Battlefield fans are super excited about this.
I
want to welcome
I've
new
never
channel.
Been a Battlefield guy. Like I'm super excited about this. It looks
great.
I
mean, I've played the game here or there, and it sounds like Rukari is very versed in Battlefield as well, right?
Enough. It's fun. Just I get a break from the general shooters that I play, and I love Battlefield because I can be rewarded for supplying my teammates with ammo or reviving them. So if I ever, it's like.
Or hiding in a culvert and sucking.
I don't want to call it my B or my 2. It's really like my 1A. It's my adjacent, right?
Right.
I don't want this type of combat, but I'm gonna go revive all my friends. So yeah.
That's awesome. I want to welcome Fake Man Bear Pig as a new channel member with the Joanna Dark emblem emblazoned on there. So yeah, if you join the channel, you get a different color and you get access to emojis. I'll put them in the chat later when as we're talking about some other stuff. But we got Untitled 27 says, finally finding time to be here live. Great show with absolutely awesome guests. Colt, hope you have a great day and plenty of games to play. And yeah, if you guys haven't noticed, there are plenty of games coming from in the summer, actually, right? I didn't think about this, Jeff. Like, we don't usually get a lot of games in the summer. There's been many years where there's the summer game drought, but I think that's kind of going away, isn't it?
We've had years where there's been a lot of games in the summer previously, like for decades or the early decades of gaming. Yeah, summer was always a drought. They be like, kids go outside. We're not going to sell games to kids, during the summer. And then they're like, oh, there's people who want to just like spend their free time after work inside playing a game year round. So like, let's make games and release them during the summer. And it's been that way for the last couple years, but we still have had a few droughts here or there. And this year is not one of them. This year we're getting a lot of stuff.
Yep. It's going to be like every 2 weeks something new will come out.
Yes.
Andy Hart says, morning, Colt. All right. This is he's a UK guy. He says, do you have any idea when Flight Simulator will launch in the UK? I haven't even actually checked what time Flight Simulator launches in North America. I don't know if it's an evening or a morning thing in North America. Who knows that answer?
I don't.
I have not even checked. I just know that I'll be ready for it when I get up in the morning, and sometimes I don't play a game late at night. I just play one in the morning. Faisal Ashan says, excited for another great show with great guests. Oh, that's a nice compliment to you guys. Oh, they're so nice.
Thank you,
But
Faisal.
Wait, Horace, why does my shirt gotta go? What's wrong with the
What?
star?
Let me see.
I don't get it. What did I do?
What is it?
It's an Astro
Rockstar
shirt, right? Astro.
No, it's
or
just
what?
an Astro shirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing wild.
No way. Yeah, people are being a little crazy about the finishing of that last game. So let's see. We got let's talk about something that's actually a week and a half old, but I think it's a funny conversation. Got the XNC. He's got the Ultra 64 shirt.
Right.
This is a tweet that was actually almost 2 weeks old, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. But I thought it was pretty funny. Xbox tweeted, for all those people that say PS5 is better in our mentions, we want you to know that all consoles are awesome. Rukari, did you clock this tweet from Xbox Official on Twitter?
I saw it. Oh, yeah, I definitely saw it.
Do you know where you were and what you were wearing at the time when that tweet blew up?
No. Like, I just saw a great engagement post, and that's really it. I'm so jaded from years of working in social media management, and I'm like, not that this doesn't serve a purpose. It absolutely does serve a purpose, but Xbox has always tried to be inclusive and whatnot. And I was like, this is a wonderful opportunity to get a win. And I'm not saying it's pandering for pandering's sake. I'm just saying I just know it's a feel-good opportunity. So I don't know. I just saw it and I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And it blew up.
Yeah,
but Jeff, what was your reaction? Did you roll your eyes or did you have a good laugh?
There's always a little bit of both. I definitely try to see all angles for it, but for the most part, I'm just like, it is an engagement post. It is, but it's done in the Xbox style, which is usually either you're killing them with kindness is something that Xbox has done a lot recently, and that works really well for Xbox because there's a group of PlayStation fanboys that are just like always looking for a reason to undercut Xbox, and so if you come at them and kill them with kindness, they just do not know how to respond and their heads explode. And they know that, and
which is the point.
Exactly. It's the whole point. Exactly. And so it's like, it's kind of funny to sit back and watch that and be like, that's pretty good stuff. So yeah, I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a good call. And it really, it's, if you do take it at face value, it strikes the right tone. Like, just play where you want. Like, just play video games. They're all good right now. Like, it's the best time to be. I think it's just like right now, in a couple of years, we're going to look back and be like, man, we didn't know what was coming. We had no idea what was coming. 3, 4, 5 years maybe of just nonstop bangers from everybody is what it feels like. We're on the precipice of. It's going to be awesome.
People love to complain. Like, my favorite thing is when I see tweets from anybody who's always like, you should just be able to play where you want. I'm like, yeah, you're fighting a good fight. It's just always going to be this. It's always going to be this. Like, war never changes. That's kind of how I feel about it. So I love the Xbox tweet. It was wonderful, great. I wish there would be a day where we all lived in harmony and played the games where we wanted to play them on the piece of plastic that we wanted to play them on.
Just one day.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that competition, it's all about making, PlayStation making Xbox do better and vice versa. But I just thought it was funny that they're so self-aware that they let everyone know, hey, we know you're all saying PS5 is better and we're going to address it and make you look silly. I thought it was crazy. The thing had like 150,000 likes within like 8 hours or something. It was a funny moment, but I don't know, more of that. I feel like PlayStation's really quiet. They just do their little announcements and there's that engagement, but Xbox is doing crazy stuff, bringing All for One in for a little parody, and they're wacko. Yeah. I
love that.
Let's see. Sam Craft Recon said, haven't heard much about acquisitions in a while. I'm not. Last I remember hearing, it's the whole acquisition season thing, but that's it. Anything new on that? I'll start with this one. That happened on my show. One of my guests had DM'd a source of his that said, can I say anything on Colt's show about acquisitions? Because we've heard rumors about NetherRealm and Avalanche and some other studios, but nothing happened. And he was told it's acquisition season, so go ahead and get people excited. But the only one who announced was Sumo Digital and Sumo's team working with Tencent.
Tencent. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, are you kind of relaxing back in the lawn chair on this acquisition thing right now, Jeff?
Oh yeah. I'm happy not to like really get too involved in this one because as far as I've heard, I haven't heard one way or the other for sure on any of this stuff. Mostly I've heard that these things aren't happening quite as quickly as people think. The conversations are always happening. People are like, there are people dedicated at have dedicated job at all of these huge companies to be exploring deals like this all the time. People who are just in mergers and acquisitions, that's their job. And so they're having these conversations 24/7 all the time. They're always talking about it. Doesn't mean it's going to turn into anything because it has to go through so much vetting and all this other stuff. And maybe that's what we're hearing is just like some rumblings from places where it's like still early, but it's hard to like tell that it's not, or whether it's early or not. My guess is we get a few more acquisitions, by the end of the year, by the end of the fiscal year. If it's not necessarily acquisition season right now, it is still like acquisition environment in terms of everything's lined up. You can get a lot of capital really cheap. These companies have a lot of money in the bank. That money is going to be, worth less because of inflation. There's no good places to put it. You invest in some areas. You try to put some in some bonds, but eventually you're going to run out of places to put it, and you're going to want to say, hey, we're not getting any money.
Burning a hole in my pocket.
Yeah, these interest rates are like 0%. Like, yeah, they're not getting any money. So like, let's buy a company and get this money working for us. All that stuff is still true. And it's just a matter of like whether or not anyone can actually pull the trigger on one of these deals. I have no idea.
Yeah. I think that's one big half of it. Rukari, what are your thoughts? What do you think why we're not hearing about any big mergers or acquisitions right now?
I feel like you know this answer that I'm about to give you, and we hate it every time, is that I don't pay attention. And that I've spent so long working on games in the industry and whatnot that I found that it's too hard to try to chase down every rumor, every bit of news and information. And I kind of just go, oh, like, word? Okay, cool, crazy. Oh, they bought who? Once it's out. Like, I am definitely not the person that's in the know. I don't know if it's acquisition season or not. I was surprised when all the acquisitions happened in the first place. I was surprised they kept going. And I was on Inside Xbox, like, we would get a script,
right. Yeah, that's right.
We wouldn't know about one till later. So I've learned not to pay attention, is basically it. And I promise you, it makes, as we were just talking about PS5 being better, that whole mindset, it makes life so much easier to not give a damn about anything that doesn't concern you. I still get my games. The best part is if you're out there chasing every little tiny ambulance that has like a studio acquisition or some type of leaked information. If you're always and we do it. I do this as a content creator. I have to always keep an eye out for like little tremors in the ground. Once something doesn't come up to be true, that you called a liar. We'll get into that later on too, because that can be pretty funny, but it can also be a little irritating. But Rukari, you're amazing. I love that. We've heard this from you several times. Apathetic, or hey, I don't like ulcers. My name's Rukari. I'm good to go. I was gonna say the other half is like Jeff talked about. All these deals are in the works and or being talked about, or maybe considered or being dreamed about. But even if they were going to happen, it takes a long time before people like us are going to actually hear the announcement. So, and I'm talking about us, the people in chat, like consumers.
Gosh, I think we heard about
T-Mobile 5 years, 5 or 6 years to complete their merger. That's just one that I know off the top of my head because T-Mobile's headquarters is here and I got friends that work there. But yeah, it takes forever. And we knew about that one.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait. And maybe it is better to wait. I get it a lot. I'm sure Jeff as well gets lots of DMs like, hey, what do you know? When's the acquisition season open up? When can I wait for someone else to spend money?
Yeah, exactly. It's frustrating because it's like these things fall apart all the time. There was I will say that I didn't know about the Bethesda one, but I was being teased the Bethesda one by one of my sources for a long time. And he's like, if you guess it, I'll tell you. I must have guessed every single other company on the face of the planet before I guessed Bethesda. So it's like, he wasn't going to tell me because it's like, it could fall through and like, I'm not going to actually give you just lead you to the water. But it's like that with everything where at any moment these things could just crumble. And what am I going to get out of that? If I come out and say they're talking and all I'm going to get is you're a liar. So it's just not worth it a lot of times.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll hold on to acquisition stuff, and I'm glad that somebody asked, but yeah, that's all right. Don Otaku says, I have way too much on my plate right now. Death's Door, Skyward Sword, Chris Tales, The Ascent, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Great Ace Attorney. It's a great problem to have. And Rukari and Jeff just said that as well. It's Game-ageddon. Tons of games.
Yep.
Let's talk about Unreal Engine 5. Coalition just showed off their creation. And there's not a lot to talk about, but let me take it from this spicy angle, if I will. The Coalition team, a small part of the team, put together this Unreal Engine 5 demo of some assets in a little environment that kind of looked like the nanites and the Lumen and the nanites demo that the Unreal Engine team made for PlayStation 5. So a lot of fans are pitting these two things up against each other and saying this, Coalition looks better than the demo for the PlayStation, and then vice versa. But there is a difference. I don't know if you followed this, Jeff, about who made the Lumen and the nanites demo. Did you follow that like a year ago?
My understanding was that Epic made that, right? I thought Epic just made it internally, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. The people that make Unreal Engine made that demo. Yeah, that wasn't like made by Sony. It was made by Epic using PlayStation 5 hardware, absolutely. But it's not going to be indicative of much, especially because it's different teams. It's not the Olympics, everybody.
Right. So what we have is a small part of the Coalition made this demo today that they actually made it a couple weeks ago or showed it a week ago, but we saw it today, and it was made by an in-house Xbox team compared to something that the Epic Unreal team made for the PlayStation hardware. So yeah, it does show what the hardware can make really amazing games. They've got this character. Have you seen it, Rukari?
I saw it. I checked it out. Yeah.
Yeah, you got like the bearded character. Kind of looks like sort of looks like that pilot in Halo Infinite, and it mix between something in a Gears game. So. Are you into this technical stuff? They're talking about triangles and polygons and bokeh depth of field and all that stuff. Do you follow all the technical garble?
Yes and no. What's fun for me, again, working so long in the community, is taking a step back and being a consumer for once and just being like, they're going to throw a ton at me. And I leave it to people like you and Jeff to break down what that really means. What I like to do is look at it in crayon and just say, what do I care about? So when I was watching it, I loved the liver spots and whatnot, and I loved the fact that you could see aging on the skin. You could see pores, like individual pores. And then every game that I've ever played that showcases beauty, just because of who I am, I always go to hair. I always go to hair. This more so comes from who I am, what community I'm from, and I'm always like, the hair is not quite there for them. I wonder what black hair is going to look like. Yeah. So that will be my UE5 demo whenever that comes out, is somebody utilizing hair texture. I'll admit,
more than one hairstyle.
Yeah, I was in his beard, and I was like, "Oh, this looks mighty straight. Like, we still got some work to do, but all this looked great." Anyway, that's me being uninformed in a good way.
That's just taste. That's just taste. That's what it is. That's the way to look at it for the most part. I mean, I would say that what this demo is just kind of showing is, hey, yeah, we can get some pretty good stuff out of this pretty quickly. And all the stuff that might come up short, they'll work on it later. But I mean, I think it was, for the most part, pretty impressive. And I think it's cool that the Coalition is just getting time to mess around with new tech. Like, they're just like, hey, you don't have to go make Gear 6 right away. We're okay for a little bit. We're looking at our lineup for the next couple of years. You don't have to go rush out Gear 6. Do you want some time to mess around with Unreal Engine 5, maybe make something else? And they said yes, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're experimenting, they're prototyping, and this stuff is going to probably turn into, like, not this specific stuff. It's probably not none of this stuff's probably going to exist in any final product, but this stuff will eventually transform into something that is not a Gears game coming out probably around 2023. So it's cool that they're getting this opportunity.
So let's talk about that, because people are like, well, I can't wait to see what Coalition does in the next few years. But they've talked about creating something other than Gears, and they've also talked about, if you look at the timeline, 2019 is when they delivered Gears 5, and they took some time to make Highbusters. So what's going on with Coalition? Like, what can we not expect? I don't want to put up an expectation, but what can we predict to see from Coalition and when? You said 2023.
Well, I could say we don't have to expect. I could tell you what Microsoft expects. They expect right now on their internal tracker to have a new Coalition game that is not Gears, that's smaller in 2023. Whether or not that gets pushed out to 2024, we all see how games get delayed all the time. That's always on the table. Sure. This is not a prediction of the future. This is not that's people writing the future. Yeah, this is just like, this is what they expect today, and those expectations could change tomorrow. But right now, that's the plan. That's the general plan. And they're going to have a lot of games in 2023. So for any reason they want to like give this game extra time, they're going to have a lot of excuses to do so. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be smaller. It's going to be a side project, I guess is how I would frame it right now. I would imagine that Coalition being the Coalition, it's going to probably get bigger as they get closer to that date and like, you know, get big for their britches and say, hey, we could probably pull something off here. I imagine that that's probably going to be likely, but they want to do something else before they go back to Gears, and I'm more than happy that they're getting that chance.
Okay, 2023. Rukari, do you think that what Jeff's talking about is something that Coalition would be willing to show off in a year and a half from now?
It depends on when they started that bit, right? If this is something that's just jumping in with UE5, one of two things happened. Obviously, they know how to use UE5, so I'm assuming that it's a tool that they've had their hands on for quite some time. If they're going to hit that 2023 target, of course, nobody's working in office until at least the end of the year. Actually, well, dependent coalitions in Vancouver, right? So I don't know what the local laws are, but I take Halo as my example, and I know they're all still, you know, out and about because it's harder to move an entire environment home and then move it back in, especially when you're trying to launch. Right. So I just look at the timetables, and yes, everything being pushed back. All these acquisitions that have happened, I think the release date on whatever they're working on and their next Gears game is fully dependent on how well FY22, which is, you don't know Microsoft's fiscal started July 1st and it runs till June 30th. This is their 2022 year. If this year delivers in a good way and kind of gets the monkey off of their back of not having games, Gears might have time, or I shouldn't say Gears, the Coalition might have time to push that next project out to a late 23, early 24, and Lord knows when 6 comes. So it's believable, it's plausible. I've just seen how much these dates are written in sand. Not to say I don't believe them. They're just best targets, best hope case scenarios.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess they've been kind of like clockwork with their releases. But yeah, I suppose by next holiday we could probably see whatever they're working on, if it's ready for 2023 or moved. But yeah, you're right. It is really the norm to move games, especially after what we've gone through this past year or so with some of these game releases. The developers are just way better off just saying, hey, sorry, we need more time. And I think most of the community is okay with that. There are some crazy people that are not okay with that, and
they didn't play Cyberpunk.
Yeah, and I did. I played it in full as is. Yeah, I can say cool game. Wish it was better, but yeah. Let's see. Eternal Shut-Eye says, question of the evening for Colt and the panel in the chat. When are we going to hear or see Compulsion Studios game? Great panel. P.S. I never said troglodyte. Troglodyte's a word we like to use. I think it means like caveman or whatever. But,
basically.
Yeah. It can mean many things, but I think it's not too offensive. But Compulsion's game, that's kind of a wild card. I actually heard a little bit about that today. I don't know if Jeff, if you're up on Compulsion, what's going on, but let me just say real quick that I heard that someone was hoping maybe they were rebooting Banjo, but then I heard no. I was having a good conversation today that they've got some kind of third-person open world adventure game. They've shown a screenshot that I actually didn't even know about. Jeff, do you know anything about this?
I don't know anything about a screenshot. Last thing I heard about Compulsion was a few weeks ago, and it was also 2023 for them as well. So, but I mean, we'll see what that turns into, whether or not that's something that you know. I feel like that's one that's very easily could be like 2024. But I don't know. You seem to know more than I do.
Well, the Compulsion's like one of the only studios in the whole array that hasn't talked about or shown what they're working on. I'm pretty sure. But it's kind of weird. They're the wild card. Nobody's talking about them right now. They're quietly working. They've asked for more money. So I don't know. Let's see. We've got Purple Haze 4564 says, do you guys know when Batman Arkham Knight, that's the 2014 or 15 game, when it's going to get 4K 60 boost or optimization? Is it possible we'll see Max Payne 3 backward compatible?
No idea. Not sure.
No idea. Yeah. Yeah, we don't know. I don't know that stuff. Jason Ronald's team is working on games. This is so weird. He said they're working on FPS boost games based on as long as they work within the engine to do the procedure, if I can use that word, and by popular demand, like the games they know are popular. I don't know if they go by sales or by people constantly asking for them, but Batman, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight have been asked for a long time, and Arkham Asylum, but they're not. And Max Payne 3, Rockstar's really stingy with
everything.
Doing, with I don't know what it is. What are they trying to do, Jeff? They want to resell it and remaster it?
They just want control, I think. Yeah, like they don't know if they're gonna like remaster or anything like that, but they might, and so they always want to keep that in their back pocket. They're not the only ones that are like that. Square Enix is very similar. It's it's just a matter of the accountants looking at stuff and saying, hey, we own this. Are we just gonna like hand it over to people, or are we gonna keep control and decide when people get the better versions? So we'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've played Max Payne 3 recently on PC. It looks incredible as is. So an FPS boost would do wonders for a console, but I don't know. Forza Horizon 5 is this is so crazy. We'll talk about Flight Sim in a minute, but Xbox has probably two of the best looking games on console right now coming in 2021. Yeah. Flight Sim's one, and I think Forza Horizon 5 is the other. Rukari, are you a racing guy?
Yes and no. Very much the Horizon Forza player, not so much the sim side of Forza. Though I have dabbled in both. But I love me some Horizon. Horizon's just fun.
So talk to me about Forza Horizon 5. Have you been looking at some of the visuals they've showcased, how this game looks?
The bits they showed off. I was playing them here on the screen earlier, and they're gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I guess to give you the history of my Horizon experience, that was the game that I accidentally finished. And if you heard us early on, we talked about all the things that we never finished, and somehow I 100%ed that game, and I never do that. So it's funny, the last few iterations I haven't gone as in depth in, but there's nothing like playing that game and either driving through water, driving through dirt, or just changing different landscapes and sceneries, and checking out what I saw today, because it was just early today that I got to catch it. It was gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it does look really, really good. I want to give a shout out to the 1,000 people who are watching the show today, listening to Jeff Grubb and Rukari Austin and I talking about some of the new games coming to Xbox. And so the state of Xbox and gaming right now in the summer, when it's a little bit quiet, but the calm before the storm, there's a whole bunch of games coming in the next week or so. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. Jeff, Forza Horizon 5 is a masterclass in visuals, and people are sharing screenshots, excited about Xbox bringing something that looks like it's showcasing the next generation hardware, or this Xbox is more powerful than your PlayStation, that sort of conjecture that goes on. And I've been in that for a while, but somebody showed a screenshot of the Mexico canyon side with the river, and somebody who doesn't like Xbox said, why are you showing that? There's no gameplay there. And it was that moment when, if you followed the Forza materials the past couple of months, where they show this beautiful photo true image of Mexico, and all of a sudden this camera swings in and you're in gameplay. It's all in engine. You've seen this stuff, right?
Absolutely. It blows my mind every time I see it. I don't get over it. It is such a good effect. They know that it's like a magic trick that they can keep pulling off, because I'm sure it still works on many of them that are making the game. But it just you feel like you're looking at video footage, and then they just slowly pull you in and to follow the car, and you're like, no, now it's a video game, but it still looks so realistic. It's what's especially incredible here is that this is still the current the Forza tech. This is still the tech that they've been using all through the Xbox One generation, and Turn 10 is over there working on the next gen tech. What? It's going to get better than this? I really am having a hard time understanding what that would even look like, because this game just looks so photorealistic right now.
I know it tricks me every time they do it. Every time, even when I rewatch it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Right. So yeah, they showed some landscape stuff. I think that's what Rukari, you were talking about. You saw some of their recent footage where they were panning around the environments of the different areas.
It was I can't remember what caught my eye too. I think I just saw Xbox Wire tweeted out from the weirdo that's up at 6 a.m. When all their news drops, and I just remember looking at it and I was like, I'm going to pick it up. Well, I have Game Pass anyway, so that's not an issue for me. And I was like, well, let me just go look at the environment and see what everybody's talking about. And yeah, I was definitely blown away. It was what I was expecting. And it's at the same time, it's kind of a pain point because I'm like, yeah, this is great to see it right here on my computer screen, but I want it on my TV. Like I want it on that thing. That's where I want to see it.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll put out a short demo like they do every year. But we'll see. Yeah, that game's looking good. So the other Xbox game that everyone's talking about, I get to use my platform as a little correction here. This was an interesting moment I went through as a content creator earlier this week, or last week, I guess it was. Halo has been kind of making everybody wait with bated breath for this Halo flighting, this beta, where people can jump in and play Halo Infinite multiplayer early, beta test the game, give their feedback, and everyone's waiting for these flighting invites to come out. So this is, for anybody here who's watching who's paid attention on social media, I said, I think it was on Friday, I said that I'd been invited to the flighting and I was going to be playing it soon. And that was all well and good, but somebody asked me, Colt, this is kind of a funny story. Colt, why are you even telling people this? And normally, like Jeff talked about, Xbox kills with kindness. I try to take a hater and just give him back a little bit of kindness because I'm not interested in an argument. I'm interested in saying my thing and moving on. So I said, hey, I have some followers that probably want to see Halo Infinite. If I'm able to play it before they can, they'll be able to see footage on my channel or on social media. And that's why I shared it. Well, when I said that, the head communications manager for 343 spoke up in my reply and said, hey, Colt, that information does not line up with what we are doing. You need to check with your Xbox PR representative. So I'm getting into a little bit of dicey situation here, but I'll try and do this the best way possible.
Let me go look at his Twitter right now and see if I can see who said that. Let me go like that tweet.
Yeah. So I put up a little GIF that someone had uploaded of the Halo multiplayer, and John from 343, he follows me, really cool guy. So he came in with the correction. So his correction was about how I assumed that they may be sending out invites in waves, which is, I didn't know. I just guessed. I tried to keep it vague, and I said, in case I have footage up on my channel before anyone else gets to play it. So, but also they have to control any angry fans who may be waiting to get in, and then they see like an influencer or a YouTuber or a media person that doesn't love
or
Halo.
A games journalist, the worst of them all.
So what happened, guys, was immediately after John spoke up and said that my information was incorrect, I got a barrage of 50-some quote tweets, tweet replies, screenshots of people calling me a liar, saying I didn't get invited. And so I'm going to read just a portion of this email because it's something I didn't want to share at the time, because I am fortunate enough to get, as other people are, some special considerations. Not considerations, but...
No, you get considerations.
Look,
I don't know what the word is.
Games.
Look,
you're doing your job.
All I'm going to tell you right now, Colt, is you're never going to win this.
I want a little bit
in here.
I just want a little bit of transparency. So I have 130,000 some subscribers. So Xbox thought it would be good if I was able to play the game early and share my feedback with the community. So this thing says that I am invited to the technical preview for Halo Infinite. And if I'm going to paraphrase it instead of reading it, because I don't feel like sharing this stuff because it's stuff that's sent to me from PR. But they said that I'm invited to the technical preview for Halo Flighting, and by signing up, it guarantees my access to the Halo Flighting gameplay. So all of that, I think it's kind of was one of those things where 343 didn't want people to think that they wouldn't get in because someone else gets in before them. So that's kind of where that went, but it was crazy.
It's coming, everybody. Just chill. Everyone just take a deep breath.
Actually,
relax.
It's coming really soon. Soon.
It's this weekend, right? Like they said, well, hopefully this weekend. Targeted. That's what they said in their blog, right? That's public. You guys don't have to both pause and be like, am I allowed to say this? That's their blog. They literally said.
If I say it, they're going to say Jeff Grubb said it.
No, look, y'all go read.
Yes, I know where Jeff's coming from.
It literally says in the blog, we are hoping to have something as early as next weekend. This was last weekend. So that would mean that it could be this weekend. Or that's at least what they're targeting. Now, they haven't said yes or no, and the reason why I bring up these words and whatnot, again, because I work in social and everything's very deliberate. For those of you hoping to get in, keep in mind that they, call it flighting, because they go in the first section of this blog and they say there are expectations that come with alpha. There are expectations that come with beta, because marketing has taken those words and they've twisted them up to mean something entirely different than what
now
they are.
Now they're doing deflating.
I think they're into flighting now, and they're actually calling this first one, because I think they mentioned there's a possibility of a first one, a technical preview, in which they're trying to measure the performance of ABC XYZ with a build that's months old. There's a good chance not everyone gets into this. There's a good chance that they have more. I think they're trying their best to keep people from getting pissed off, because they know it's unwinnable, and people are going to be pissed off, whether they're not in wave 1 or in at all.
Yeah, I have to say that my reply to someone says, like, why are you sharing this? I was writing that reply like, here, let me use my phone. I was like, being really careful about my words. I'm like, I want to be vague because I don't want to give out any information that I don't understand or that I'm not correct on. So me saying, like, if I had gameplay up before, I even thought about this before I hit send. It's so funny. You think you could be so perfect, and then people come and just elbow drop you. But I said, in case I have footage on my channel before anybody else gets, or other people get to play, I think I said. Which I thought, okay, that covers me if someone doesn't get into flighting, or if they're working and they can't get on there and I've got to tweet up with gameplay before they can get home. I'm like, I got my bases covered. And John's like, whoa, that doesn't jive with Xbox PR or 343 PR. So yeah, he DM'd me behind the scenes later that evening. We talked back and forth. He said he's really appreciative. He's like, sorry if I threw you on the bus. Like, it's fine. It's just kind of something that happens. But Rukari, you nailed it. It's really about, I learn more and more every day how passionate the Halo fan base, how big they are. And a lot of them aren't going to like me, and they aren't going to like someone like a games journalist or an influencer or a YouTuber that gets access before they do. I totally understand. And it's all about being caring, I guess, because if I say, hey, I'm so excited I got in the flighting, and some guy who's a way bigger Halo fan than me goes and gives the community manager grief, he has to deal with that. And I understand that. But funny situation. Crazy that Jeff and I are going to talk about this here in a minute, about how people call you a liar. Like, Jeff, you get this like once in a while. Jeff,
well,
Rukari,
you were the first to say that you got into the flighting.
I was the first to say that Xbox invited me. My good friend Dealer Gaming said, I got a cool email this morning. I'm going to be playing Halo soon. My words put me in all kinds of the firing line. But Jeff, like, Rukari, Jeff's a nice guy. Look at him. He's a good guy, right? He gets called a liar whenever something doesn't come in Superior Court certified, right?
It's not even that. It's like... honestly, if I ever speculate and that's wrong, it's like, it's not even stuff I'm saying is going to happen. I'm just like, people ask me, like, that's the thing. My show, we take a lot of questions, a lot of super chats, like your show, and so and I try to answer the questions. I do a Grubb Snack show on Giant Bomb, and we get a lot of questions. I don't know the answer all the time, but I'm willing to speculate. And then when the speculation is wrong, even if I change it before, like the Starfield thing, it's like I said Starfield was coming in 2021. That was my guess, and that was like based on like, okay, I know they're going to show it at this E3. And they've done the thing where they showed E3 and they released it later that year. And then before anyone else, before Jason Schreier or anyone else, I'm like, okay, no, I heard it's 2022 for sure. That doesn't matter. I said 2021 once as a guess.
Right.
And that's the lie that they want to lock in. It's not about like actually like anyone actually keeping score. It's just if I get something wrong, it's because they didn't like something else I said, or they don't like me in general, and so they're just going to use these things over and over. And honestly, a lot of times they come in and they complain by giving super chats to my channel, give me money. I'm like, okay, wow, this sucks. Please stop doing that, please. It's like, whatever.
I mean, I'm watching the chat too. Like, they're amazing. They're great. Like, they're having a good laugh over it. They understand. And
oh yeah,
sometimes we take the gaming stuff personal. We get a little emotional, but yeah, it's just crazy when someone says you lied about something. It's so funny because I know, Jeff, like you said, people ask you for predictions or what do you think's going to happen, and all of a sudden it becomes your inside source from some guy behind Walmart that had a trench coat on that said, "Look, read this."
That's why you don't know.
That was a different trend.
That guy's very reliable though, so no hate to him. Like, that guy's great.
But yeah, it's all fun. But there's a lot of stuff that we talk about that comes true. Some things don't. But sometimes it's about somebody trying to take down someone who maybe gets a little bit of attention. I don't know. I think it's irritating, but that's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's just like, gaming's expensive, and people, they get emotional about it because it's not just their time, it's their money and their time, and it's something where if anyone's making you feel like you made the wrong choice on anything ever, you kind of just lash out. It's very immature. I'm not really excusing that behavior, but I understand it on a fundamental level, and so most of the time I just choose to ignore it, and that's working for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do understand because I think, for me, gaming's one of my biggest and most impassioned hobbies, along with other things that I do. But Rukari, gaming isn't like your full life, but with what you do with your company that you're working with, you kind of stay in that. How do you deal with this type of stuff in your job? Like, tell people about what you're doing.
Senior community manager at GameStop, which means that I'm setting the strategy for how GameStop interacts with its customers. We're very retail centric right now. I would love to flip flop that, change it to be, utilizing the talent of GameStop creators. I think there's 14 people on the GameStop TV team, as well as myself and Eric, who do on camera stuff. Like, we're a giant retailer, and we're dabbling into more than just games. You can go into GameStop right now, and we all laugh, but we've seen, I can't remember if it's Cricket Wireless, but we've seen wireless providers have their cell phones in there. We've seen cell phones in there. Anyway, the point is that my whole job is humanization of a brand, right? And we've all rolled our eyes at the way brands crack jokes and whatnot, because yes, at the end of the day, we want you to spend money. Everybody wants money. That is why we are all in business. I'm gonna tell you right now, Colt wants money. He may not be directly asking you for it, but we've all got bills to pay and whatnot, and we do this stuff, yes, not only because it's fun, but we keep utilizing that money to bring you bigger and better things. It may not be for personal gain, but anyway, point being is that that's kind of my whole bit, and we always have to tread this sticky situation of what can you say, how can you say it, what does it do to this particular portion of your fan base, does it include new players, does it invite them in? I never knew it was a tangible skill, crafting words, and I don't mean crafting as in a writer, because writers are phenomenal, and I cannot do that. It sounds horrible, but I know how to talk to people at the bar. That's what I've always thought my job was. And I don't necessarily mean women, men, everyone, just to be able to have a conversation with folks. And I never knew that was a skill until I was working on Killer Instinct. And our executive producers would say, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to tell the people that. And I'd be in the corner like, yo, I'm going to give you 17 reasons why we cannot say that way. You're going to make these people mad. There was season 3. We came out with 8 new characters, 3 stages. And these guys tried to slip in the fact that we were going to have 3 new stages and a lighting blog. Like, we revamped the whole lighting system so you could see the characters. They would pop out from the background way better. People are going to love this. I'm like, you're right. That's where we're going to tell them that because of this, we're only going to have 3 stages. I'm like, you're going to get reamed. You are absolutely going to get reamed. I got overruled. We got ripped a new one. And then I just walked into work the next day like this. But anyway, so that's the whole bit. You're always going to get called a liar. I don't want to cuss on here. Crap rolls downhill. You just let it go. Always try to be careful. I mean, you guys are both testament to it. Nice people. You can be the nicest person in the world and still mess up in your wording. Learn from it. Move on.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you're talking to gamers love to talk about what they love and what they want, and they do a pretty good job of illustrating what they would like from their games and studios and these companies. So you've got your work cut out for you, Rukari, for sure.
It's like,
what kind of things are you doing with GameStop? Like, when you just say you do content creating, are you streaming games? What do you do?
Well, that's just it. Because of the pandemic, who they've had on their team, where people are located, they've got the 14 people for GameStop TV, but they have contracts and how much they're allowed to do per month. We've only been streaming 1 time a week. Everything that we post online is more so, it's an ad, right? It's a GameStop weekly ad. And my job is to look at that, evaluate its performance, and just say, how do we make this more fun? The problem is, and this is weird saying that, they want me to jump up and help and literally use this whole little content creation studio that I've got back here to assist with that. And I don't know if I want to be back in front of the camera for a brand, but that's my whole thing, right? Is we're trying to, GameStop is a retailer, right? We've got all these things that we could be unboxing, showcasing. Better to show, not tell. Right now we tell. We say, here's a picture of, the thing in our weekly ad, buy it. All right, well, let's see if we can readjust that and make something that's fun, a video showcasing why the product is cool, And again, we're asking for your money. So the hope is that you start to put a name and a face, or a group of name and a group of faces along with these products, think they're interesting, and take them on from there.
You're going to get out there in front of that camera, Rukari.
The reason why I don't want to, it's not that I feel like Xbox burned me, but I learned a lot from not having that be my job. So I'm okay with it so long as it is my job. Actually, the reason why I don't want to get out there the most is because I don't want to edit it. That's the reason why I suffer in my own content creation. I don't want to edit it. I love editing and I hate it. Yeah, I can be honest.
Yes.
Again, I can't blush.
Of course, yes. Please be honest.
So I will get out there. I've already done it a few times. I'm curious to see how it's received. We talk about being down on comments. I was down on a comment that somebody made today about, I put out the tweet from GameStop that, said, what's the one game that you've never finished, but you keep lying to yourself talking about you're gonna finish it? That was me. That was my entire backlog. And somebody quote tweeted and was like, why is this brand trying to tell us to trade in our games? I was like, well, that's actually a good point. I didn't think of it that way. But it just got me down in the dumps. I'm like, yeah, I spent 2 years not working at Xbox, not working on a title, just getting to work for myself. And it was fun because I got to be me. And it's different being behind a brand. It's fun because you get to hide, but it's rough too.
Right.
It's absolutely rough.
I mean, you still know it's you when you make a tweet or you make a comment, even if you still have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's for the rest of y'all. Know that there's always people behind that. Not that any.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could deal with the middle fingers and the forget you, this, and that. That's easy. Say that to my face. Nobody says that to my face. They always see me like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, I can get pretty defensive about my content because it's something I create. I come up with a concept, I create it, I spend the time to edit, I use what I call production. I do production values. So I put the time in, and if somebody says something about trash, I'm like, hey, watch it. I just recently started being on camera. I don't know if that's correct grammar. I recently started putting myself on camera in my videos from the beginning to end. And like you said, I really don't like looking at my face and making that edit in production. Like when I make a mistake and stuff, I'm like over here rolling my eyes.
Every time you pause you're always making the dumbest face you possibly can make. Every time I'm like, oh
yeah,
this dude. Well, who could look at this thing?
What was it, you, Jeff, a few minutes ago that said, "Can I be honest?" Or was that Rukari? I couldn't tell.
No, I said he could be honest here. Yeah,
he could be honest.
Oh yeah.
This is a safe space. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe you had a confession about yourself on camera as well, but I mean, you're here. You're on camera.
Yeah, man,
people are having a good time.
That's exactly how I feel, though. Yeah, whenever I edit my stuff and I see my face paused, I'm just like, that is a goofy MFer. Yeah.
And I think I got spoiled by being given the talent moniker. And so many times, so when I did all the console unboxings for Xbox, you had a director telling you, what to do, trying to make you laugh, get good bits out of you, and they took it away into the edit bay, and out came this wonderful piece.
Out came what they thought was the deal. Yeah.
So it's tough for me to storytell. Hey, I will say, for anybody in here watching Colt and or Jeff stuff, understand that content creation as a one person show is totally different, because your production, your pre-production, your actual in-house in-studio production, your talent, your edit, your everything, and
you're the key grip. That is so funny because I've been doing this on camera stuff, and when I'm doing I did a promo where I had to read copy and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here going, I'm doing the lighting, I'm doing the camera, I'm doing the audio, I'm doing the script, I'm doing the on-screen graphics, and I'm like, whew.
And then somebody tells you it's crap. Why would a brand do this? And I'm like, you know what?
But I wouldn't trade it. It's so rewarding to be able to talk. All the people that we get to meet for the stuff we get to do when we get out in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, it's amazing. Shout out Special Nick in the chat, Violent Femme. We've got Neil B, channel member, Splatman, Rick Payne. I could sit here and read all these incredible people that are just they're having good laughs. Some of them were giving me a hard time saying I'm digging myself a deeper hole about the Halo thing, but I'm pretty sure I'll be playing it in the next week or so. Everything should work out, and I think a lot of people will be playing. I think they want to get a bunch of people on to make sure that they can kind of stress that
that's
initial
the
wave,
preview,
right?
I think it seems like the big issue there is that they want to make sure that the game works when a lot of people are playing it, because that's still a pretty hard thing to do with a video game. So yeah, I think you're right.
Are we talking Halo?
And there's
again?
going to be
It's not going to work on day one. And I don't mean the technical preview. I mean at launch.
Yeah, of course not.
I assume Battlefield's going to have issues. I don't know the last time I launched a AAA, AA, single. I don't know the last time I launched
when it's a big
experience.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Splitgate is just got delayed into August because of it's getting crushed on its servers. Like, everyone messes this up. It's just the way it works.
343, because I know 343 doesn't want to mess up this launch and have day one issues, but they've got Game Pass, Steam, Xbox One, and Xbox Series customers, plus the PC people with Steam. They've got all those customers on Game Pass as well. Like, they're going to get inundated with a lot of people. I think Halo Infinite's going to launch with a lot of people, so it's going to break. Yeah, shout out to Lady Foxfire, new channel member. She's not new. I've known about her for like 4 years since I've been in this community. She's awesome. Shout out to her. Also, I've got, where is this one? Purple Haze said, will Microsoft have their own comic book hero exclusive like Spider-Man, or maybe a third-person action game like Ghost Recon instead of just shooters? Let's look at the comic book thing. Rukari, do you think Xbox is interested in getting a DC type license for a character, or are they just doing their own thing?
Sony and Spider-Man, just remember that when Sony acquired Spider-Man, they had the chance to buy the entire Marvel franchise and chose not to. Anyway, that was a very poignant play, and I think it more so had to do with the film studio wanting to create films and whatnot. Oh, and by the way, this console thing, which did well at the time, don't get me wrong, could make a game for it. Will Xbox be so lucky? I don't know. I think Sony struck gold with the Spider-Man character, and I don't... Mm-hmm. Given the way Marvel movies are performing, I don't see anybody being able to secure just one, or not one that's that large. So no, I don't see it happening. I do hope to see Xbox do better in that storytelling kind of arc. Don't get me wrong, I love Gears. I love shooters. Shooters are my mainstay. But yeah, we need something that's a tad different. I wish Sunset Overdrive was still around. Obviously, that's Insomniac, and they're gone.
Yeah, that's
so there's an opportunity. We'll see where they end up.
Jeff, do you think they're going to grab anything from Marvel or DC?
Yeah, only because I think Disney overall.
You liar! No,
God, you're not wrong, man. Disney's very keen on making these deals right now because they felt like they missed out on gaming during the pandemic when everyone else was like, "Oh man, we're selling so many games right now." Disney did okay with the games it did have, but it's like we should have had a lot more stuff out there doing a lot better than it was doing. So, and they've been making these deals. Like they did make the Spider-Man deal with Sony. They made a Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 deal with Nintendo. I think it's probably just coming down to what's the right character, like what fits with Xbox, what could they do, who would develop it, like is there a studio out there that would be willing to be able to take this on and be able to do it in a good way? Like, I would say Black Panther would probably work as well as Spider-Man in today's world right now, after the movie just dominated. But who would make it? And they are putting Black Panther into Marvel's Avengers. So does that complicate things? I think it probably does complicate things a little bit, but still, it's like there are opportunities there, and I know Disney wants to make that stuff happen. I think it's also just as likely that it's not superhero stuff. Maybe it's a Star Wars game that Microsoft gets exclusive. But I think Disney wants to keep making these deals, and they want to do it with the biggest companies, and that would be Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Jeff. We have talked about that before, how it was very, very possible that Disney and Xbox could be in chats to partner on something. They just did the Sea of Thieves thing. So maybe they are doing that Star Wars. We heard those whispers going on for quite a few months, I think. Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things like, is it going to happen? Is it a lie if it doesn't happen? Who knows? Right. Those are very difficult talks. When you're talking about partnering to make an exclusive Star Wars game, that's a big talk. That's going to take a while. Welcome to the channel membership, Raiden Blade, with that Joanna Dark. Hopefully we see that Joanna Dark game pretty soon. Wolf Assassin says, hey, Colt, love your content and dedication so much. My question is, since we know Avalanche is working on Contraband, any other third-party studios were rumored to be working on Xbox exclusives via Xbox Game Pass? Rukari, did you look into this Contraband game? Do you remember this trailer?
Nope. You're going to have to remind me.
This is a 4-player online co-op heist game set in the 70s, made by the team that made Just Cause and Mad Max.
They had the Steely Dan music during the E3 presentation.
Okay. So
yes,
I remember seeing that. And I guess for you guys, the way I deal with game releases now is I hear about them, like, oh, this sounds cool, and then I wait for the Colt and the Jeffs.
Yeah.
I wait for you guys to start talking about it, so I'm like, oh, it's this week. Okay, I got to get ready.
Right.
Yeah, it's early on. They showed a pan through a still of a garage where they set up their heist, and it had the Do It Again by Steely Dan, classic like mid-70s song. So
good stuff.
Yeah, nobody's really they aren't talking about what that's going to look like, but everybody liked that trailer. So there were rumors that Xbox was going to acquire Avalanche, but right now it's just a partnership. Jeff, do you even want to venture into this ridiculous conversation?
Yeah, let me lie to you all right now. Please come in close, everybody, so I can lie in your ears. I'll just say what I've said in the past about this is that, like in the weeks before E3, there's people working on showing this game for the first time, and the people that were involved in that stuff said there was no talks of acquisition at that time. Doesn't mean other people weren't talking about it, but they didn't hear anything. And Avalanche has missed some key milestones along the lines, and I would imagine that when Microsoft's looking about like, hey, are we gonna pull the trigger on this? Part of that is like, hey, why don't we just wait and see what this game is going to end up being as we get closer? We're spending a lot of money on it already. Let's just see this through. And once the game comes out, maybe we can reassess then. There are a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to wait for that. If Tencent is knocking on Avalanche's door and saying, hey, we want to buy you, Microsoft might say, okay, well, let's just do it now. Let's get out of the way. Let's buy this studio and make sure that this game comes out and it's great. But I think that right now Microsoft's taking a little bit more of a wait and see with Avalanche. I don't know for sure. There are a lot of reasons why that could be wrong, but that's the last thing I heard, and this was like around the E3 timeframe.
Okay, yeah, because Avalanche it's a little iffy here or there. Like I was gonna say to Rukari that Avalanche is kind of half good, half not so good. Like
they got
the Just Cause series is great. Yeah. They've had a couple, like Mad Max is really great, and Just Cause 3 was okay, and 4 was not very good at all. So, an online heist game, the whole 70s thing is what saves it for me. Like, we've got GTA Online Heist, like we've seen that, but when you start mixing in like period-specific music and clothing and cars, and yeah, it could be really exciting. So, yeah, let's see. I think that was all that question there. But he did talk about other rumored studios, which we kind of covered in the acquisition season ridiculousness, but we won't go back into that. Kim Cruz says, since they put Crimson Skies in Game Pass, we need to see a remake of Crimson Skies. It's long overdue. And if Kim is he or she, they say, Phil, we need a sequel. I've never played Crimson Skies. Rukari, you're an old school gamer like us. Did you play that one?
Nope.
Jeff, did you play Crimson Skies?
I definitely played it, but not in a way that like it is stuck with me and I have memory of it. It must have been like I played it one night for a little bit, but I'm definitely going to go back and play it now. I did not realize it was on Game Pass and like ready to be played. I'm definitely going to go back and try that now. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's one of those I always hear people talk about.
Yeah,
it's so weird. There's so many exclusives. Yeah, there's those exclusives that were smaller on the Xbox original that people still talk about today. I really got back in and when 360 was jumping, so I have to go and try those out for myself. Let's see. Let's talk about. I'm going to put Jeff on the spot. Jeff Grubb recently was talking about a couple of dragons, and I thought I would give him an opportunity to kind of either clear what he might have said or just elaborate a little bit and maybe throw in a little bit of my name is Jeff Grubb and this is what I think could be happening or my prediction. But what is this thing about two dragons coming to Xbox? I'll leave it that way, that you have a whole canvas to paint.
I feel like if I said two dragons at any point during that thing, it was definitely just in response to Destin. I was on Destin's show, and I think he was very insistent that, there are two dragon games. And I didn't mean to like frame it that way. There's not two dragon games. That's not what is happening here. I think what I was referring to a report from Jez Corden over at Windows Central, and the way that he was writing up, like he was saying, I've got some info from here, and it kind of lines up here. And when I was looking at it, what it seemed like he was maybe conflating the Dragon game with another project that is a little bit different, and I think he was making it sound a little bit more like a little bit more fantasy MMO, the IO Interactive project that is actually Project Dragon. When that is going to be more, that's going to be more like a behind the back sort of Destiny Diablo thing. And yeah, it's definitely going to be have a connected world, but it's going to be less MMO and more Destiny. There is another thing that is an MMO that also got pitched to Xbox, and whether or not that is going to end up being like in the like once it gets released as a product, whether this other project is an Xbox Game Studios thing is still up in the air, I think. But it was kind of separately existing and was pitched to Xbox, and it still could end up being there. But that was like an actual full MMO. And I'll see if I can talk about that a little bit more on Grubb Snacks on Thursday.
Like an MMO that has dragons in it?
There might be shit. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Somebody in the chat, Valorian in the chat said Double Dragon?
Yeah, there we go. Let's just do that one instead. Yeah, it's Double Dragon.
I mean, that's cool. I did listen to that where you said that the other game, like there's two possible games, one may not even be exclusive or may not get pushed forward, but the other one you're saying is like a Diablo's like a isometric or top down.
Behind the back. It'll be a behind the back. It's going to be like, at least it's pretty early. But I don't think it's going to be isometric like Diablo. It'll play like Diablo. It'll play like Destiny, but it'll be behind the shoulder, and it's going to be a big, expensive game. It's going to be massive from IO Interactive.
Wow,
that's the plan right now.
Really nice.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm like excited to see what that studio could do with something like that. That sounds very, very cool to me.
I mean, it's not out of the realm for Xbox to be shopping around to get all kinds of partnered games to bring to the platform. Like, I really feel like Xbox is making up for lost time. There was that 5 or 6 years where they had very few exclusives compared to their competition, and now it seems like they have two MOs. One is they need to get as many games for their platform because their fans demand it. The other two is they have to serve Game Pass, which is going to become like one of the biggest things in the industry. So I think as we hear them talk about games, if Jeff says that he's hearing that a game is in the works, there's probably a game in the works, and Xbox would love to get a hold of that. That's my take on what Jeff said. So,
I agree.
And if it doesn't happen, there's reason why it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The two dragons. So let's talk about Flight Simulator real quick. There's I got some great perspective. Do you guys know Randall Thor 19?
Yeah, Rand's great.
Yeah, I know that name.
Yeah, he's amazing. And the one thing I love lots of things about Rand. He's one of my good friends. We talk on the phone every day. He's amazing. But he is such a realist and so grounded. Like, he'll always be able to step back and look at things right on the nose. And there's this big argument going on the past couple days about how Flight Simulator is one of the best looking games we'll probably see on console, and the biggest thing that could never be done before. But some PlayStation fans are angry because they just want to say it's not a game. So let's open this up for discussion. Flight Simulator looks amazing. Rukari, is Flight Simulator even a game?
If Forza's a game, then Flight's a game. Like, I don't see why it wouldn't be. I've got an objective. Got something that I can fail at doing, right? Like, yeah, what? It's a game. We can talk about its level of intensity, which actually it's a very difficult game if you want to set yourself up with the proper equipment and whatnot. Yeah, it's a game. What? Is this even... This is really a conversation?
Do you kill anybody in the game?
It's not that type of game. I've been playing Pop
myself
Blitz
when I crash.
on Apple Arcade. I'm not a big mobile gamer, but man, this one's got me. I've always loved Bejeweled Blitz. I kill nothing there.
What about Animal Crossing? Do you kill anybody there? Is there any conflict?
I've tried. There's people that come to my island, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want you here.
Get them with a rake.
It took me forever to figure out how to kill these turnips that I let rot, and they were just all about on my beach. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, Jeff, take it away. What's your thoughts on it doesn't count, it's not a game?
I mean, it's just obvious concern trolling. It's people being like, "Oh, well, it's not going to be good." Well, it comes out and it's good. Well, it's not really a game, and that's what I'm just concerned. It's because we're going to say this is tell people go out and buy this. It's going to be fun. You're not going to have fun because it's not even a video game. Get over it. It's just so it's like really childish. just go play. If it's not for you, that's fine. Like don't get it for yourself. That's fine. But there are going to be a lot of people who are going to try this because it's on Game Pass. It's going to open their eyes to a different style of enjoyment, of fun. I don't know why anyone would feel the need to go define the word game for anyone else. Are you spending your time in a way that's enjoyable for you? That seems to be the goal here for most people. Most people are just trying to have a little bit of fun after work on the side with their hobby. And if this game facilitates that, then it's a success. And that's what we're actually talking about here. Trying to put these things in these barrels is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a secondhand embarrassment where I just feel like is this how you enjoy yourself? I'm gonna go play Flight Simulator, actually have fun time. You go argue on Twitter, you do your thing, but I'm gonna actually go.
But what's a better
play
game?
fun.
Honestly, what's a better game, Jeff? Flight Simulator or arguing with trolls on Twitter?
Yeah, I know, right? That's For me, Flight Simulator, but or shooting off the tweet that I know is going to make them mad, and then just leaving, then going to play
And just
Flight
muting
Simulator.
muting the conversation.
Yeah, just muting
That's
it. Yeah,
hilarious.
and I know that they're ripping their hair out. That's pretty fun, but yeah, like. If you want to call it a dad game, like a game that, like, the guy that it's the only thing he plays, but he's a weekend warrior and he gets his whole setup and he spends thousands of dollars on it and he just flies from LA to New York every weekend. I mean, whatever. Like this, it's a hobby, and I think that's not something that people should be dismissive of. Really, a lot of what it comes down to is whenever people start talking about this, it just makes me think they don't actually like games at all. They just are always looking for a reason to dismiss other people's enjoyments of different kinds of games that they don't like, and it just makes them sound like they don't like any games. So
It's so weird because Flight Simulator is not just, I guess, what we would categorize as a game, but it's also a high-rated game right now. It's really highly rated on PC. It will probably continue to be high-rated on Xbox.
Simulation crowd is a vicious crowd. They are fiercely loyal.
Yes.
And I'm watching I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that, and to piss off the that's not a game crowd.
Yep.
You can throw it in chat what you think the most profitable game in Xbox Game Studios is. I guarantee you no one will get it. The information may not be true anymore.
Well, according to what you have heard, or what you think, what is the most profitable game on Xbox?
Any guesses? Jeff, what do you think?
I have a guess, but I think
And remember, Xbox is an ecosystem. That's my hint.
Oh, jeez. Jeff, you want to take a shot at this first?
I mean, my shot would be Minecraft, but I feel like that's got to be wrong.
That's
now.
mine too.
Because of the amount of money that has to go into it, and versus what they get out, and this is strictly ad revenue. I do believe, just from meetings that I had been in, that one of the for sure, I don't know if it's still the most profitable franchise is Microsoft Casual Suite. Because it's installed on every Windows PC.
And it's like passive income almost.
Yes. Yeah. Huh. So we can say whatever we want to about whatever a game may be, but I promise you,
return on investment. Yeah.
I promise you, these companies are looking at us and going, "You guys go have your little Twitter argument."
Yeah.
The real moneymakers back here.
that actually reminds me of. Everybody always talks about goalposts moving, and certain fans will say, this game's better because of Game of the Year contender, or it has a higher Metacritic, or it has sold the most. And I remind people, like, one of the highest sold games on PlayStation or Xbox is Minecraft, like Jeff and I were saying. It's one of, it might be one of the top, like, traditional games that is sold, or Roblox is one of the most, it's so funny, they pick a hill to die on, but in the end, the winner may be Roblox. I don't know. It's just kind of funny that way.
Roblox is massive. Yeah, absolutely. It's just not worth it. If you like these other games so much, just go play them and shut up. Just shut up. Like, that's how I feel.
Yep. Let's see. Faisal Ishan. I'll get that. It's Faisal. Faisal Ishan says, Jeff isn't allowed to give measured answers or speculation without people going crazy.
That's right.
So you got somebody in your corner there. Horace says, great show as always. Let's talk about Steam Deck sauce. I hate that name, Steam Deck. We talked about this a little bit last week. You guys weren't here, but are you guys thumbs up on the Steam Deck? I'm like, hey, enjoy it. I didn't pre-order one, but
I got one. Yeah,
you got one.
I'm thumbs up on it. I can't wait to get it. The name Deck is definitely they're
doesn't
playing
roll.
to. Yeah, but it's playing to like William Gibson stuff and like, oh, this is my computer deck or something like that. I carry it with me so I can hack these consoles or whatever. Like that's what they're trying to go for. It doesn't. Steam Deck doesn't quite evoke that in my head right away, but that's what they were trying to do. But the thing itself, I am so into it. I know it's big. I don't care. People are like, oh, you're gonna actually play the thing on the bus? No, I'm gonna play it at my home when my kids are like in the other room yelling, and my wife wants to watch a show. I'm gonna go to this other room and play games, anything that I want. And if I have to stream something, it'll be great for that. But I'm going to be able to play a lot of things locally on this machine. I cannot wait. Like handheld game computing is going to be huge in 10 years. We're getting in on the ground floor right now. I can't wait to see.
Or 5 years. You know, the next iteration. Yeah, I mean, it could be big now. Rukari, are you going to pick up one of these things?
Oh yeah, I think I got second wave. I think I'm Q1 2022. Why not?
Nice.
I like new toys. I'm for it. My Steam library has been growing. I don't know if you know this, but like 6-8 months ago, I was doing a lot of hosting for Humble Games. Got my hands on a ton of cool indie stuff.
Right.
But my library went from Destiny, Halo, and a couple of other things I just never played on my PC. Now it's a couple hundred games. So I'm excited to, just to Jeff's point, be sitting around, my son's messing around playing, and I don't have to be at the office, and I can be at home playing there. Great.
Yes, that's cool.
I'm for it.
Cool. Are you guys okay with some games being 30 frames, or do you think you can work your way around 30 frames with settings?
On here,
that's what I think.
Yeah, it's PC. Like if I bet if I try, I can get 60 frames per second, and it's going to be basically 720p. I know the screen is 800p, but I'll probably play it at 16:9, so it'll be 720p. I'm going to be boring people with this, but the 30 frames, like 30 frames per second is going to be fine for most cases. But I bet if I really try, I could get 60 frames per second. And the thing is, it's a PC, so I will have all those options available to me. And even if the game doesn't have them, it's a PC. I'll just go into the INI file and make those options available to myself. Like that, it's completely open. So I'm not worried about that at all. That was such a boondoggle. That was such a when people are getting upset about that, like they're targeting frames per second, I'm gonna barf. It's like you guys just don't understand what this thing even is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what they're saying is to get what the fidelity you'd expect on a bigger screen. That it's probably gonna be 30 frames.
AAA games that
every PC gamer just. They don't tell you, Jeff, but PC gamers, like, they take those settings and they go down the line and they turn those things down to medium, but they won't tell you that because it's a hit on their hardware they bought. But I've been there. I played on PC exclusively for like 3 years, and I put stuff on medium all the time because I wanted the other things. But yeah, as far as console gamers, they don't give two craps, but the Steam Deck will give you a chance to play Xbox on there if you wiggle your way around it. But yeah, I don't know. I still think it's cool. I think something like that coming out, it's always a good thing.
At that
even
price,
if you don't want
one. Unbelievable. At that price, it is just, it is really hard to overstate the value proposition of what Valve's putting out there with this thing. Because comparable things are twice as expensive for hardware that is not even like about half as good. So it's just,
I mean, how much more powerful is it than the Switch? I'm sure someone's done a
way more powerful. Like
2 times or something.
Yeah, it's like 2 times more powerful because the Switch is about like an Xbox 360, a little bit more than that, and then it seems like the Steam Deck is going to be about as powerful as like a PS4, Xbox One, like probably PS4, and only able to do that
with newer architecture,
with way better architecture, way more efficient. People are like poo-pooing the 2 to 8 hour battery life, and I'm like, man, that's like better than a Vita. I don't know what I just don't get a lot of criticisms against this thing right now. So yeah,
I don't know. How long are you going to play a handheld? Brandon says, great show, guys. Can someone please explain Bright Memory Infinite? This is a good question. Is it a full game? Is it an upgrade? It looks amazing, but no one's talking about it. Well, Brandon, no one's talking about Bright Memory because the demo was charged $9 or $12 on Xbox when I think they should have struck a deal to make it a free demo with the Series X and S. And it did not score very well. Did you guys play this Bright Memory demo?
No.
It's installed.
It's like a 45-minute... You can get it done in like 20 or 45 minutes, depending on your skill level. It's kind of a difficult first-person shooter it feels like Shadow Warrior and Titanfall. Not a good mix of games to describe, but it's made by one. It's one of those made by one person, but there's probably more people behind the background. We were talking about that earlier. So I think we were talking about that before the show, about these smaller games. But Bright Memory Infinite is going to be an exclusive release on Xbox, apparently. They didn't really communicate that before, but I don't know if you guys know more about than what I just said.
No.
Maybe I'm teaching you. But
Yeah,
it's made by a Chinese developer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's If I would recommend to the chat, keep an eye out. If you think it looks good, come ask me about it. I've played it on Steam and I played it on Xbox. I've had better. Andy Hart says, hopefully Flight Simulator launch is bug-free, nice and smooth, fingers crossed. Jeff, what can you say about you? Are you able to say anything about your time playing it? You've played it on Xbox Series X?
Yeah, I didn't play enough to do a review, but my understanding is that the review embargo's up, so I'd imagine I'd be able to say pretty much anything. I have not played enough to say, oh, you're gonna have a bug-free experience, but what it looked like to me is that it's solid and it's going to be a very pleasant. Anyone coming in there getting it on Game Pass and just installing it and trying it, it's huge still. It's a big game. It's about one of the biggest games you can get on Xbox. So keep that in mind. But once it's up and running, it's going to work surprisingly well. I think people are going to be pretty surprised with how well this game translated to console.
Nice. And Rukari, you haven't tried it yet.
Nope, I definitely launched it thinking it might be out just because I got the update for it, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is why I don't pay attention to stuff.
You're too early. Yeah,
I saw the 27th. No, it let me in. It lets you into the menu.
Right.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
nice
it lets
tease
you
there.
all the way in, and I'm looking at the little loading icon. I was like, oh, it must be loading down in the corner. I was like, I remember the first time I launched this on my PC. It took a while. And then I finally looked back, and it was like, yeah, we're excited for July 27th. And I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. Read the screen. It was.
I never know what day it is.
Yeah.
I never know what day it is, Rukari. I've been working from home full time, and I don't know what day of the week or what the date is on the calendar.
Same.
I just know when I need to eat, I guess. This is a good one from Dirty Gamer. Says, Rick Kizzle, I can see your growth. I'm not your dad, but proud of you. Rooting for you. You got a fan.
Appreciate it. I don't. You know what's funny is I don't even know what that means, but I'll take it. Thank you.
I think what it means is a lot of us have watched you do the work that you've done on Xbox, and you did the work for Humble Bundle. Now you've just been in the community, so yeah, people love seeing you do your thing. So that's why I said you're gonna have to get out there and keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Echelon the Darkness says, hi guys, any clues when Trek to Yomi or Loot River will release? Well, that's not a question for me. I don't even know what those things are.
No, those are made up games. Yeah, that's just made up stuff right there.
So when they actually get announced, so we're going to come back to Jeff and be like, you lied.
Can't escape it.
Oh my gosh. One more. Steven Smith says, love what you guys are doing on the channel. Colt, appreciate all the hard work you put into it, to all you do for the Xbox community. Thank you. Through all the lies and all the fun, we are having a good time, and we've been waiting for games, and I'm glad they're finally coming. So Flight Sim is coming out tomorrow. I think it's the 27th.
It's tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah, okay. I had to look down at my calendar. So, yeah, I'll be playing that, and Rukari will finally be let in. Jeff's been playing it. So, yeah, that pretty much covers everything, but there is more to talk about as we get down in the future. So, yeah, Jeff, tell these people where they can find you, where your articles are, and your show. Just give us the whole sales pitch.
Yeah, I'll make it real quick. I tweet a lot, so if you can handle that, and I don't blame you if you can't, you can follow me at Jeff Grubb. But if you want to come hang out, kind of get intimate, there's the Discord, discord.gg/GameMess. Come hang out with me there. It's a cool community. We've got a lot of people there just hanging out all the time. And then if you like this appearance, if you're like, hey, that Jeff guy kind of knows what he's talking about some of the time, and even if he lies to me, I'm going to forgive him. You can find, I do a podcast of my own called Gamesbeat Decides. We do that on Friday. We do it live, and it's on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Jeffrey Grubb. But if you just look up Gamesbeat Decides, you're going to be able to find that. And I got a few other things, but you could find all those things also on that YouTube channel. So I'll also plug, I did start that show Grubb Snacks over at Giant Bomb. I've done it for a month. It's been so much fun. We do it, it's a premium live stream, so you got to be a Giant Bomb member to watch it, but I recommend it because that community is also fantastic. We have a really good hour plus long session of us just talking about questions that people have about what's happening in games, try to figure these things out. People give me stuff to go look into. I go look into it. I try to come back with an answer. I'm going to do that this week. People are like, hey, what's going on with this? I don't know. I'll look into it. This week on Thursday, I'm going to be able to answer some of that stuff. So check that out on giantbomb.com/premium if you aren't a member. So yeah, that's me though. And thanks for having me on, Colt. This has been really fun.
No, yeah, thank you for coming on. I know I've been on shows, I've been part of a show, and now I'm doing my show. I understand it takes the energy and fun to do a show, but I appreciate you taking that in here.
Absolutely.
The release date for Flight Sim is 8 p.m. Pacific time or 11 p.m. I'm sorry, I said PM when I was reading it just doesn't say what time. 8 Pacific time, 11 Eastern time. Now I have to rely on the chat if that's morning or night. Yeah. Or 1600 BST. So if you know your military time, that tells you.
If it's 1600 and
he's
Great
social
Britain.
now.
Yeah, if it's 1600 in Great Britain, we're 8 hours behind.
Okay.
BST.
So morning.
Yes, I know
yeah,
we're
8 a.m. 8 a.m.
Okay.
8 a.m. That's so funny. Yeah. Now you know that I don't understand military time. When I always look at it, I'm like, all right. Well, I think 0400 is when you need to be on the get out of the bunk, but whatever. What do I know? So, yeah. So Rukari Austin, the man who's been around the world and back.
Literally.
Tell everybody where they can find you. They know you, but give us a little spiel about where you are and where you're going and where I'll put a little link up if you have something.
Lord knows where we're headed, but it's going to be a fun time. That's the lie, at least, that I tell myself. Like Colt mentioned, we've been around the world talking to all sorts of people about all sorts of things. But yeah, no, I'm currently doing my GameStop bit, so chances are you'll see me on their channels doing something. I also dabble in content creation on the side. At least that's why I pay for this office, that and saving my partner's sanity while she's talking to doctors and I'm screaming at Call of Duty. The beautiful thing is with a name like Rukari, it's easy to get on every single channel. So that @Rikizzle that you see there, that's YouTube, that's IG, Twitter, and the like. Come yell at me. Come make me actually finish things, right? Lots of projects that I start.
Once.
Yeah,
Don't
call me the
Rukari
liar.
a liar.
Rukari, look, you guys want to know the bad thing is I have Pokemon cards I got to unbox, and there's
there he goes.
There's shit all over the place. Lots of unfinished projects. So come yell at me. You're an editor. Come help me do
Look at that. Oh, my gosh.
No, but that's it. I dabble in content, but I like to do it more with the brand being out in front, so that way I have somebody to block the shield of me being called a liar.
That's awesome.
nice.
I put your Twitter handle on there so people can go follow you.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to see if you make some waves and make some changes, and because I think everything's kind of in flux right now. Like new things can be tried, so hopefully that your experience starts to wear off on people. That's amazing.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
Let's
but thank
hope
you
it's a
guys
good
so much.
strategy.
This is the XNC Podcast, which is an acronym for the Xbox Newscast podcast. And every week there's something new to talk about. So I try to bring on some great personalities and some people from the industry to talk about things. And we're live on YouTube. And this show is also on demand on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Podcasts, and a couple other platforms that you might check out. You could check that out on demand after the show goes up. So thanks to the some people that have been here to watch the show. And what else can I think of that you need to know about? I really appreciate the chat. You guys are amazing. The moderators, Fonz, Happy Bomb, Lethal Papa, Underachiever, and all of you that have been there to help out. We really appreciate it. Follow these guys. And Rukari, do you want to make a wild claim before we sign out about something that someone can call back and say you lied about some major acquisition or Xbox buying Nike or something? What do you got?
I can make a wild claim. The claim is that within the next 24 hours, there might be a drop of a competing console for Power Up Rewards Pro members. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh,
That's
nice.
a claim that I can do. That's what I can do. And I didn't
I
say
like
what,
it.
so that's it. We'll do some wild shit that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about here.
Hey, that's
I'm bad at
everybody loves
claims.
something like that. All right. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. That's it for tonight. And check us out. We'll try to get the timestamps up when the show is done processing. So thanks a lot. Wave goodbye to all the happy people. Thank you so much for everything you guys do, and we'll see you real soon.